Well, with all this mess happening, now in 2 weeks, we had a wedding July the 25th with Lance. Now in 2 weeks we're going to have another wedding with my daughter, because they moved their wedding from next year in June to June the 12th to the September the 12th. And
why'd they do that, you reckon?
well, I think they wanted Daddy to be there for some reason. She wanted her father to be there, and the doctor told her that next June 12th might not be a good date.
Well, for those of you that's ever been involved in planning a wedding, imagine going from having 290 days to plan down to only 17, and making the decision to do this the first day of college your senior year. But when you got cell phones and Facebook and two strong families, nearly anything can be accomplished. And it was. Blair's family put together the guest list, and one of his sisters made all 500 invitations. Then they regrouped and had them mailed out within a 48-hour time span. The church? Well, it just happened to be available on September the 12th, 2009, and so was the pastor. The bridesmaids' dresses, well, that was a different story. There wasn't any. Anywhere. Except the clearance rack at Macy's. And they were perfect. The tuxes? Well, Melissa and her brother Kevin were in charge of those. In fact, Blair never even saw his till the day of the wedding. But what about the most important dress of all, the bride's? Well, it had been ordered, but unfortunately wasn't going to be finished until November. Until it appeared. Early. Well, so far, so good. Things are coming together perfectly for the kids. But hey, what about Campbell? Wonder what he's thinking.
I hope this is not being unfair to Blair or anything, but we're going to have a good time at the wedding, and it's going to be Melissa's day, and we're going to celebrate and have a really good time, and then the next day I'll go start chemotherapy. So,
and that's one thing that you want to make known clear is it is Melissa's day.
Right.
Not Larry's day, it's Melissa's.
Melissa's day. We'll have a good time, and it'll be a good party. We've had 3 good weddings so far, and we're going to have the 4th one, and it'll get done one way or another.
And get done, it did. People came from everywhere. There was standing room only. And if you weren't there an hour ahead, you couldn't even get in. But little did that crowd know that only a couple hours before, Larry was back home getting an IV administered to try and stop his nausea. Well, as the wedding started and everyone took their place, only those closest to Larry would know the battle that he'd have to fight today, if he could make it to the battleground. With time running out and no sign of Larry, it appears that this has all been too much for him. The nausea has taken its toll. When suddenly a hush comes across the crowd, and 2 figures appear in the doorway. Could it be? Yes, it is. The bride and her father. Well, in what seemed like a split second, that wedding was over. And those 17 days that seemed so small a time to plan turned into a huge success.
Blair, would you honor us with a kissing of your bride?
Well, there was definitely love in the air that day, and kisses for everyone. Some might have got a little carried away, but they were just getting warmed up. Remember what's next? Campbell will tell you.
We're going to celebrate and have a really good time, and then it'll be a good party. We've had 3 good weddings so far, and we're going to have the 4th one.
Well, you don't have to tell this crowd twice. Well, Campbell had his own special table, and a long line of people wanting to say hi. And when he'd get wore out, well, there was a motorhome just outside the door for him to retreat to. The standard wedding traditions were in place. The toast to the bride and groom, and the cutting of the cake, along with crowd favorites, the bouquet toss and removal of the garter. But then it was time for the groom and bride to dance with their mother and father.
Lost in the moment and each other's face, so much in love, you're alone in this place, like there's nobody else in the world. I was enough for her not long ago. I was her.
And as the bride and her father danced, everyone gathered round. And it didn't matter whether you were the biggest football player in the crowd or a small child. There wasn't a dry eye to be found. And I'm real sure that Blair and Melissa consider themselves the luckiest bride and groom ever. Because this was truly the wedding of a lifetime.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a warm appreciation for the father of the bride, once again, Mr. Larry Campbell.
A sincere thank you to everyone who has called or emailed Larry. Please keep it up. He asked Tim every day if he received any more emails. And folks, to be honest with you, he's not doing very good. The cancer is really starting to take its toll. Please remember him and his family in your prayers.